Warning: the information or views displayed on this podcast may not be the same as any one individual listener's views. If you strongly disagree, you have the freedom to simply turn it off or get your own podcast to voice your own views or information if this podcast does not fulfill your idea of what should be talked about. You're listening to Fringianity. Hello and welcome to Fringianity Podcast. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about social media and being censored, banned, and having accounts disabled and stuff like that. Recently, that happened to me personally, so my personal account is not working on Facebook. So I'm pretty much decided that I'm going to be off Facebook. That means all the groups that I was managing or whatever, taking care of and doing stuff with, is not going to have new posts from me. That means the show is not going to be posted on Fringianity podcast groups or pages anymore on Facebook. I've decided, since Facebook has removed me for posting family pictures, weirdly enough, because they say that there's shady stuff going on around my posts or whatever. I don't understand. So they disabled my account and made it a pain in the butt, and they don't have any they don't have any phone system to have you call them and ask them what the deal is, and they just give you their generic rules that you may or may not have broken along the way. And so I just say, you know what? Goodbye. I don't need you. I don't need Facebook. I don't need Mark Zuckerberg, who hates his users anyway. Okay? I don't need any of that. So I already had, before I got off Facebook, I already had a Twitter account with Fringianity podcast. I didn't really promote it, but I do have one. So if you want to find Fringianity podcast on Twitter, I'm on Twitter through the name Fringianity Podcast, okay? And please message me or whatever. I've already tried to find some of my listeners on there, or the people that I was friends with on Facebook on there. But like I said, it's not really that important to me, because I'm not really a big fan of Twitter, nor am I a big fan of any social media, really. I'm just kind of burnt out by it a little bit. But I do like to hear from some of you people that listen to the show. So that's kind of a thing that I kind of miss, And I would like to hear from some of the listeners again, because I do like to hear some information or have people talking to me about stuff. It's kind of hard to do this show when you're just doing it, speaking into the ether, and you kind of feel like you're alone. So that being said, I'm going to play some scripture, and then I'll get into the show even more.
Matthew 16. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say, It will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, It will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. Then Jesus said unto them, Take heed, and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have taken no bread. Which when Jesus perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not yet understand? Neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees? Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. When Jesus came into the coasts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremias, or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem, and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the 3rd day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited, if he shall gain the whole world, and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
There are more than 2 billion followers on Facebook. That's more than Christianity, apparently, according to a video that I'm going to play later, but that's what they say in the video, and I just wanted to cover that now because that's very shocking. So, is Facebook like a religion, in a sense? Think about that. People go on there, they like something, and then they get into this like little world of their own where the world is presented to them in the way that they have liked it, so that they only get to see the things that they liked or they shared or that they're promoting or they're talking about. So even if you like bad things, like horrible things that are happening in the world, the more horrible things you share and the more horrible things that you just press the like button on or whatever, or the mad face or whatever, you're getting stuck in a prison that just keeps on cycling through that type of material. And then if you got friends that are doing the same thing or sharing your posts that are doing the same thing, now they're sharing it and they're becoming stuck in that same prison, and it's a vicious cycle that's not ending in any time soon. And it's almost as if we worship the dark things and the evil or the bad news of the world, because we promote it, not because we like it, but because we hate the news. We want to expose it, as the Bible says, but when we expose it, we're also sharing it, and we're also promoting it in a sense, so it's like a double-edged sword. So that's just something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And because at this point on this podcast, judging by the date, you can look at the date of this podcast, because in the future it'll be different. But at this point, it's been about a week or so since I've been completely off Facebook. I don't know what happened. All I know is I tried to go just click on my Facebook app, just like on my phone or whatever, like it's not a big deal, like everyone does. And I had to sign in. That's what it just kicked me off or whatever, and said I had to sign in. And then when I signed in, it said this account has been disabled because of, some kind of strange behavior or whatever on this account. I don't know what. I'm not a big tech person, or I'm not good at the jargon or the words and all that stuff that people use. But here's what it did say when I was looking at it. I'm not going to give you everything that it says, but the main portion, okay? Says you may want to slow down or stop to avoid restriction on your account. We limit how often you can post, comment, or do other things in a given amount of time to help protect the community from spam. Now that's not all I seen, The first thing I seen was your account has been disabled. For more information, or if you think your account was disabled by mistake, please visit the help center. Okay, you visit the help center. Now for me, I have a special problem. So my special problem is they have my old phone number. They don't have my new phone number. So every time I try to sign in, they try to tell me that I have to, that this is my phone number, which is not my phone number anymore. And then you only get one option, and you're supposed to click continue. And then when you hit continue, they want to send you a text with a code to that phone. So I can't get the text to that phone, so I cannot sign in. So I'm disabled, I'm blocked or whatever out of it. I even tried to set up a different account, and then because they make you show your picture, they stop you. They use the picture of you because they biometrically scan your face, which is creepy. They recognize that you are the same person, even though you're using a different email address and a different kind of name. So they recognize you. So now you can't they can't, and they tell you have to show a picture of it with your face, so you have no choice. You're just locked out, no matter what you do. And when I did search the internet, I just got so tired of searching because information is hard to come by. Any real information or new information is hard to find. But basically, it said that I could sign in or whatever, but then I had to give them a picture. So, of course, I go and give them a picture, and I, being a dummy, I guess, I gave them the picture, the last post that I made. I had a picture of me standing next to looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but it's in Chicago. There's a place that looks like that. Anyway, so it's just a picture of me from when me and my wife went to Chicago. Recently, we had a couple reasons we had to go there. I hate the place, but we had to go there. So anyway, so I took that picture there, and when I posted that picture, that's the last post that I made before I was completely disbarred and banned, or just taken off of Facebook completely. Anyway, and then it says here, and this other one I found here, I'm just looking at my phone and seeing what I snap pictures of the internet, It says your account was disabled for violating the feedback terms, or violating the Facebook terms, sorry. And then here it gives the policies and all this. Your account must list your authentic name, personal account, must represent individual people only. It's a violation of our policies to use a personal profile to represent anything other than yourself. Celebrities, pets, ideas, projects, whatever. Maybe my Fringianity picture is upsetting Facebook because it's promoting, I guess, my podcast. I didn't know that would be offensive. Maybe they want us to have a face scan every time that we use Facebook now. I don't know. Anyway, so the point here is they're really clamping down on people, and realistically, I know why I got banned. I mean, think about it. I post a lot of news. I post a lot, and I know a lot of you, some of you people might call me a hate monger because I share true news, which I like, and from what I've read in the Bible and from what they say, it's what they're saying is true. Unfortunately, truth sounds like hate in a world with hate speech and a bunch of people trying to silence you. So that's one part of the problem in this world today. So anyway, that's just something I figured I'd talk about, I guess, because some of you might be looking for, where's Leo at? Where did he go? Where did Leo Rutledge go? And then you're just like, his page is shut down, and my wife is on there still, and I'm looking at her stuff, and I'm like, so you can share pictures of your family, you can share all your stuff, you don't get taken down. But me, I shared a bunch of news like the week before I was removed. None of that got taken down. None of that got removed. I didn't get banned. I didn't get nothing sent to me. And then the following week, I shared nothing. Well, the time that I was in Chicago, I shared nothing but like pictures from me and my wife in Chicago with the dogs and stuff like that. I did share some images or whatever on other Facebook groups that I have or whatever, but there's nothing very shocking, So I'm just assuming that either my face is offensive to Facebook, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I'm not really a fan of my face, but it's just funny. So now that I'm off of Facebook, I think I'll just stay off Facebook and never try to get back on there again. That means all of my groups and my pages that I was managing or whatever, I pretty much have to let them all go and just get rid of it. So that kind of sucks, but that's the life that we live, And like I said at the beginning of the show, I have a Twitter account, I have an Instagram account for Leo R or whatever. I have all these different things I could probably promote, but it's not that important. Like I said, I like to be friends with some people online, that I was friends with on Facebook. But I'm not going to cry if, I don't have that, So, and Instagram, I don't know, I post all kinds of weird stuff on there, I guess, but I don't really promote the show on there, so. But, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting messages from people on Twitter, though, if you're on Twitter. Or you could message me on Spreaker if you want, and you can even give me the show 5 stars or whatever. You could do all that stuff on iTunes or wherever. But that's nice and everything, but you could. It's just something that I've been thinking about. I'm like, well, I kind of miss chatting with some of the people or sharing information with some of the people that I was friends with on Facebook, and now I don't know how I'm supposed to communicate with them or whatever. So that's the pain of, whatever. But that's first world problems. I ain't worried about it. So now I'm going to play a video, or I guess an audio version of a video, that really does sum up the truth about Facebook. And oddly enough, Bill Maher is the one who voices the beginning of it, which is very strange. But I can agree with this part of what he's saying, actually.
The tycoons of social media have to stop pretending that they're friendly nerd gods building a better world and admit they're just tobacco farmers in t-shirts, selling an addictive product to children. Because let's face it, checking your likes is the new smoking. Philip Morris just wanted your lungs. The App Store wants your soul.
There are 2 billion people, more than 2 billion people on Facebook. That's more than it's about the number of notional followers of Christianity. People check their phones 150 times a day, the millennial sort of audience. And so if you think about it, from the moment you wake up, it's like you're jacked in to this environment. And thoughts start streaming into your head, designed by a few technology companies.
What we find is the typical person checks their phone every 15 minutes or less, and half of the time they check their phone, there's no alert, no notification. It's coming from inside their head telling them, gee, I haven't checked in Facebook in a while. I haven't checked on this Twitter feed for a while. I wonder if somebody commented on my Instagram post. That then generates cortisol, and it starts to make you anxious, and eventually your goal is to get rid of that anxiety, so you check in.
And apparently we feel stressed when we can't get our phone or when our battery is about to die. You probably know this feeling. And a research done in Australia among 3,000 people under the age of 30 found that 9 out of every 10 admit to feel this anxiety while having his battery dying.
Steve Jobs revolutionized the entire world with the iPhone, and he never let his children use it because he did not want them dependent on technology.
Right now, an infant is getting their first laptop that's soft and squishy and makes noise. Right now, a child is being born online and being favorited and retweeted.
The hypergenerational segregation of our time is bizarre, unhealthy, and historically unprecedented. You've never seen the like of people sitting at a table in a restaurant not talking to each other because they're texting and using their Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and they are at the table and don't even know each other. In the house and can't even talk to each other. And the pressure that's on us to be like everybody else is so great that everybody tries to live like they're in a reality show.
As a culture, we don't have enough in common anymore. And that's because the internet, which was supposed to unite the world, has become too adept at serving us personalized content. Do you know what I saw on Yahoo's front page this morning? No, you don't, because mine isn't the same as yours. People get news feeds now that just spit back customized stories based on what we've clicked on in the past.
We are great consumers, but poor producers. We will buy what we can't afford with money that we don't have to impress people we don't even know, trying to be like everybody else. Get off of Facebook and put your face in a book.
Right now, a teenager is photoshopping their selfie because as a society, we're telling them they're not good enough. Right now, influencers encourage narcissism without knowing the breadth and depth of their impact on their audiences. Right now, 40,000 spectators are in an Olympic football arena watching a competitive esports competition because this is this generation's football match.
There's always this narrative that technology is neutral and it's up to us to choose how we use it. This is just not true.
Technology is not neutral.
It's not neutral. They want you to use it in particular ways and for long periods of time because that's how they make their money.
You don't realize it, but you are being programmed. It was unintentional, but now you got to decide how much you're willing to give up, how much of your intellectual independence. If you feed the beast, that beast will destroy you. If you push back on it, we have a chance to control it and rein it in. And it is a point in time where people need to hard break from some of these tools and the things that you rely on. The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth. And it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem.
I challenge everyone to try going 1 week without social media.
Don't let your phone and social media control you.
Well, it looks like I've made it past the week that they talked about in that audio video or whatever. So I guess I'm moving on. I'm breaking out of the matrix and all that stuff. And basically, I guess mentally in my mind I keep thinking, well, you know, I'm used to seeing all the news and all that stuff on Facebook, but after a while you're just like, whatever. You know, I think I'm probably happier without it. So, I don't know. That's just my observation anyway, since I've been off of Facebook for more than a week and a half, I'm sure. If you're listening to this in the future, well, it's going to be a lot longer than that, whatever. But, so, anyway. Now I'm going to play another video, and this really talks about more of the tyranny that a social credit system or a social media credit system could be used for. So what if they just use Facebook, because like they do biometrics on your face, on your pictures on Facebook, so they know you by your face. So what if they take it to the next level to where you scan your face on Facebook and you have to have a certain amount of credit, like I don't know, like 700 or 900 points or whatever, in order to be able to get on a bus or take a train or take a plane or whatever. And if you get down to 0 or 500 or whatever, you're in the bad credit zone and you can't, do anything. You can't go anywhere. You can't take a train. You can't take a bus. You can't travel. You can't buy certain things. You can't go do certain things to other people. And then what if they shame you and basically post your picture in public, showing your picture and your credit score, to shame you in front of the world so that you look like a fool and it makes other people not want to be you. So then you basically lose all your friends because no one wants to be around you because they don't want to be the guy who's friends with the guy who's only a 300 for a score. It sounds like a Black Mirror episode, yeah. But it's the truth. And this is China. So listen to this.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wenwang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wenwang makes an electronic payment, Her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiaowen Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library's free for me, thanks to my score.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms, and all of us will live with restrictions of one kind or another.
After our meeting, Liu Hu learned that his name had been removed from the blacklist, but he still has a long way to go if he doesn't want to languish at the bottom of the social credit hierarchy.
So that's just right around the corner if we continue down this system where we allow Facebook to continue to control our thoughts and just basically tell us whether or not our speech is hate or, kind or whatever, it's a dictatorship. And apparently China just really is all in on it. So, they had people literally standing up for this system and saying it's a good thing that the government is, God, and it's judging you and deciding whether or not you are a good citizen or a bad citizen. And if you speak against the government and you do any kind of thing that proves the government's wrong or bad, suddenly you become a blacklisted person and you can't even do anything. You can't travel or whatever. So, that would suck for me because, if I ever wanted to fly, somewhere or go places and go visit family in other faraway places, I'd be just like, oh, I can't. I have to, hopefully I could get in my car and drive maybe, but if you got to fly, like if you go to another country, well, now you're out of luck, I kind of wonder sometimes if there's boats that will cross the ocean, that you could actually get on instead of taking a plane. Or something like that, because it's like, what happens if the plane's all shut down and you can't travel out of the country? What's happening then? How many Americans would be just stuck and if they need to leave or flee or whatever because of the government persecution or just, what if Facebook becomes its own dictatorship and they kind of control the government at some point? That's just something to think about too. So we don't know. But it's very creepy how that whole thing, the whole video or whatever, or that audio from the video with China was. They had the perfect citizen, the girl that does everything. She'll follow every little thing that's prompted by the government. Oh, do this. Oh, don't drink beer. Yeah, because that makes you look bad. Don't buy this. Don't buy that. You can buy this. You can't buy that. It's like, oh my God. Are you even yourself at that point, or are you the government? You're basically becoming a cookie cutter stamped out, in the society that you basically have to become a clone. And that's a horrible idea. There's no creativity that comes from somebody who is told exactly what to think, how to think, and where to be, and how to do it. Everything. That's horrible. And I mean, in our own society in America, it's getting to that point where you go to these jobs and you go to these places, and it's like the rules are slowly taking away. It's like the more corporate companies become, the more they take away your rights as an individual, and you have to keep, doing more and more and more for them, more and more to prove, this, that, and the other thing. Just these little checks and balances and all these constant bureaucracy stuff to keep everything beneficial for the people in the top, top 1% at the top of the building, or the top of the business, and so that they can rake in all this money easier because you're down there, going, oh, I got to fill out this sheet today in order to prove that I did this, and I got to fill out this, and I got to go through this process, I got to go through this class, I got to learn all this today, or I got to do all this just to, make a certain amount of parts or things or whatever, just to make you prove to them that you're worthy of having that job. It's like it's like a competitive system. You're killing yourself and competing against others to try to make sure that you can stay working for that job. And while you're working for that job, the government keeps taxing you, and taxes never go down. They always go up. And eventually you're just, oh God, life's so hard. I can't get ahead. Well, and then you got the credit cards, you got car payments, you got house payments and all this stuff. And eventually you're just like, my God, I can never get ahead. There's no way I can get out of this. Meanwhile, you got your government that's literally going into debt and putting you into debt. Notice how the people who are running the show, they're not going into debt. They're putting you into debt. They're signing that debt over to you. And it's just this endless, vicious cycle. So that's the people who are in charge. That's how the system works. It's just this endless, it's as technology grows and gets more competitive and more powerful, I guess, it's going to require us to either become like robots or basically fall out of the system and just completely disappear. I don't know. In my mind, you just want to run out into the woods and just give up someday. And just, in my brain, I have this little dream, and that is, my dream is to just go to the Philippines, have a farm, raise cows and stuff, and have them slaughtered and whatever, and to feed the people around my area, and myself, and just live a simple life. The older I get, that's kind of the dream. I see this beautiful sunny place, beautiful farm, and I've been to the Philippines, so I know what it's like, and I know what the land is like there. Anyway, and I just dream of that, in my mind, I'm like, God, just please give me that. I want that. I just want to get out of this Babylon system that we're in. And you just get tired. I'm so tired of the rat race, that's constantly working and working to pay bills, to pay this. You got to do all this. Oh, you can't take vacation because guess what? You only got so many days of vacation. And if you overtake them, or if you're gone too long or whatever, your work is going to get rid of you. So you don't want that. So you have to be a slave to the system, and you have to play along. You can't just go and do something that you dream of that'll probably make you happy. But, it's like that. So it's just this big bureaucracy and technology thing piling up on human beings. And getting back to the topic, because I kind of went off topic, I guess. Also, it's like YouTube and Facebook, and I guess Twitter. A lot of people, and I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Twitter, but I'm on there just because. So anyway, you can if you get removed from those three, what are you on? I mean, they're all, Well, to be honest, they're all basically democratically owned. Like the Democrats basically own them, and because they're all voting Democrat, they're all in support of that lockstep. So they're not for anybody who has any kind of a free thinking mind. So, and people are getting removed from YouTube and just shut down constantly. Like I said, True News earlier. I talked about True News. They got removed from there. Now I don't see a lot of other Christian communities or TV shows or any major outlets for Christianity that, like in my field, like fringe Christianity or anything like that are really standing up for them. Probably because they talked about Israel in a bad light. So. Because I know a lot of Christians that, when I was on Facebook, they worship Israel. They literally worship, because the Jews are the chosen ones. Even if they're talking bad about Jesus, or they do not worship Jesus, and they're looking for a third temple and the Antichrist, they still worship them. So that became their idol, and so they don't want to talk bad about them. So therefore, Rick Wiles and True News and stuff like that, when they get removed from YouTube, no one cares. Rick Wiles has a new book coming out. I'd like to read it. I don't agree with everything that those guys do, but I can see the truth in it because the Bible really matches up with what they're saying. So that's how I know that they're speaking the gospel. But I don't like it when I see them being removed from stuff. But whatever. And I don't like it even more when no one wants to interview Rick Wiles because of his new book or anything, because, Rick Wiles is anti-Semitic, as they labeled him. So that's bad. And we have to worship Israel. We have to worship the Jews. Not all Jews are bad, but I'm just saying that if you deny the Lord Jesus Christ, and you want a third temple, and you want to put a new Messiah in that temple, that's called the Antichrist system. That's called the Antichrist. That's the spirit of the Antichrist. That is not Christian. So if Rick Wiles talks about that, everyone hates him, and suddenly he's quieted down. And suddenly he's silenced because he's removed from YouTube. But that type of stuff, what if that happens to a lot of people? Because coming up with this 2020 election coming up here, there's going to be a lot more people being silenced because the Democrats, I don't think the Republicans are great either, but Democrats are trying to silence anybody who's opposing them, because that's all they do. They're corrupt, and they're doing the opposite of everything that's Christianity. They support abortion, they support transgender, gay, whatever stuff in schools. They have Pete Buttigieg talking to a 9-year-old, telling him, "Hey, I support you because you're gay." Well, he's a 9-year-old, so okay, that's a little weird. And everyone applauds and everyone claps. So this is the type of Babylon that we're living in. But Facebook is a place that we should be just get off of Facebook and just go, because that's what I did, and I'm sticking to it, I think. So I can't post my shows, I can't share my shows anymore because of it, but whatever. That's up to the listeners. Whoever's on Facebook, you guys can share it. I really would like to share my artwork for the show covers on there when I promote the show, but I can't do that no more, so I'm done. So you can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Twitter on Fringianity Podcast. And if you need to get a hold of me, then try to get a hold of me on Twitter or something. Or, leave a message on YouTube. I never really check the messages or the comments, but whatever. So, yeah, that's just the way it goes. I can't try to fight with Facebook to try to keep myself on there when I don't really wholeheartedly agree with them or want to even help them and benefit their platform anyway. Well, anyway, I'm pretty much done with the show now. So just listen to this last little bit here, because I re-updated the ending clip because I removed the Facebook stuff and the Facebook group stuff. So listen to this, and thank you for listening. Hello, Fringianity fans. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so it's up to you to promote the show as much as possible on Facebook. Please share this show and other shows like it wherever you feel the message is needed. This show can also be found on Twitter. Just look up Fringianity Podcast. Also, we are on YouTube. at least until they censor us and remove our show completely. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless.